Welcome to Empower Hour. Let's get growing. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Empower Hour. Very excited for our second guest, my new friend. But today's topic is how to differentiate yourself and never show up like a commodity again. And I love this because you guys have sort of been on this journey with me, and the coaching realm is a very popular place right now. And so if you're comparing yourself, to people on Instagram and you're watching what they're doing and, oh, maybe I should be doing this and maybe I should be doing that. And I have so many things I can say about this. But the biggest thing I can say for me in my journey about differentiating myself was learning to be able to integrate it all together. And so I have a lot to say, but I'm not going to go there. I'm going to bring up my very new but good friend. Oh, I want to get us like this. Yes. Sal Rometta. He is is it possibility coach? I forgot the title. Here, wait, I see it. Possibility creator at the Possibility Co. My colleague, my friend, also a coach, right? And we are not afraid to be here and collaborate and do beautiful things together because we're both on the same mission to help as many people as possible. So welcome, Sal. I'm going to put this up a little differently. No, I'll leave it like this for now. So welcome. So excited to have you. We just were together on the podcast.
I know. And I told you on that podcast, I said, there's a special energy in that conversation. And I had a feeling that it wasn't the last thing that we would do together. So it's great to be here.
And this isn't the last thing we're going to do together either. Yeah. So, all right. So floor is yours.
Yeah. So look, when it comes to differentiation, one of the best ways that I know to differentiate myself is in the language that I use. Like language creates, right? One thing we believe is like language is the fundamental element of all creation. It starts here, right? It starts with a thought, an idea. It's the language you speak to yourself. And then sometimes the language we use externally, we're not really intentional about it. And we kind of undermine our own power, right? Especially here on the East Coast, Jen, right? How many times you see someone, from high school at the coffee shop or whatever it is, and it's, hey, how you doing? Same crap, different day, and we kind of just, right. And there's like that kind of conversation. And so as I was exposed to how powerful language is and how language creates, I just kind of got committed to never having those types of conversations again.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. There's one thing I struggled for a few years. I can be a little judgy sometimes. Okay. And there was just the whole like word of the year, and it drove me nuts, right? Because I'm sitting here looking at 9 words, right? That I want to make sure to implement, that I know are my strengths, that are my values, my virtue. 9, right? And they change. And I like, one word, what is that? And then it dawned on me. My one word is gratitude. And Sal, now when people say to me, how are you? You know what my answer is? Grateful.
Grateful. That's awesome.
Because otherwise you're going through that soundtrack of like, well, you know what? Actually, yesterday this happened, that happened. Should I say this? Should I say that? And you're taking yourself out of the present, right? So when you answer grateful, and it just boils down to that's how powerful that language is. I love that. You just blew my mind already.
And it's different. Like you're different when you say grateful.
Yes.
My partner, Chris, every time I talk to him lately, what's up, man? How you doing? So good. And that's his answer. And it's like, there's an energy behind that, right? And so we can differentiate ourselves when someone asks how you're doing. I love that. I actually worked with some of my clients on that. When someone asks how you're doing, it's like, man, like, actually, we are great. like our company's on fire right now. We're just making a difference for so many people. So it's just a really good time. How are you?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, that's different, right? That person, there's an energy behind that, and that person has no idea, but to be like, well, it sounds like they're doing pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I coached realtors for years and just trying to get them to answer that how's the market differently. Like, you don't answer like it's good, it's hot, it's not. You want to get into a little, like, I always taught them to have like a snippet, like what you just did. Like, well, it's great, but it's very, market specific and blah, 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 blah. Have a different answer than what everybody else is doing. I love it.
Yeah. And look, like, this isn't what I'm going to talk about with you today. It's not about mission statements, taglines, and elevator pitches.
Right.
And it very well, some people think that's like the work that we do initially. That is useful, and some of it may come off like that because it sounds kind of sexy. It's like a cool thing to say, right? But at the same time, the authenticity behind it is, in order to find the language that we're using, we did some digging on our identity. So like the work that we do is a 3-step process. It's uncover your identity, unlock your message, and then unleash your impact. So the message comes second after getting really clear about, well, who are we?
Yes.
What is the actual difference we make? And who is like the specific person that we make that difference for? And so I think in business, sometimes we don't get really clear on that stuff, on like our core identity, whether we're like a solopreneur individual or we have a team. We never get really clear around like, what is our identity, and then develop our message and create our marketing from that.
Yes. And having it and knowing the answer by heart and really being clear and being able to answer these things in an articulated way, where some people get, well, I don't want to sound scripted. Okay. First of all, you can make this you, but second, and it is you. This isn't script. You're doing the work first, right? To become clear. Then you're going to learn how to put it, to communicate it. But what happens is when you can answer that question and then you turn around and ask them, guess what happens? You become a really good listener, because you're not worried about what you're going to say or how you're going to respond or how you're going to answer. You've gotten yourself comfortable in this conversation so that you can now show up and be present.
I love that. And you kind of are segueing right into what I wanted to talk about. And I think for, all the listeners, like, this single thing right here might be the most important thing I say today that maybe you could take and do something with in your own business or life. When someone asks you, what do you do? Right? We start answering, what do you do? So if you're in real estate, oh, I'm in real estate, I sell houses and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, so is everybody else. Right?
Everybody else.
I work with a lot of financial advisors, coaches these days, right?
Yes.
Like, what do you do? Okay. So like, you're a life coach. It's like, no, I'm not a life coach. And now the energy of the conversation is trying to explain.
Oh, yes. Been there. It's painful.
Right? And so it's like, what if we were to tell people what we're known for instead of what we do?
Yes.
And that's where we start. Like, we call it your identity statement, is what you're known for or what you want to be known for. Because we could put all this pressure on ourselves about what we're currently known for. And we're like, is it that? Am I that powerful? And then we start playing that game. But what if we just create a vision of what we want to be known for? Exactly. And then we just get really committed to being that.
Yes. Align ourselves with those actions every day. And absolutely, I'm walking that right now.
And it's awesome. So like I said, right, language creates. So imagine telling people, well, what I'm known for is helping leaders differentiate themselves and never show up like a commodity again.
I love that.
Like, so my thing, right? Like, and I look, at the beginning, I was a little uncomfortable saying that because it's like kind of bold. It's like, how to do that. That's something that everybody want, So I struggled with and then I just, with my team and I, like, this stuff is embedded in our culture. So it became easy for me. And I'll share some examples about why being really clear on your identity and your culture will help you articulate this stuff externally in a real powerful way. But yeah, that's my answer. Like, when people ask, what do you do? I'm like, yeah, I work with leaders and entrepreneurs, really help them differentiate themselves so they never show up like a commodity. And
Love
so
it.
differentiation becomes my differentiator.
It's so good. So good. And that's something I've struggled with because people throw that life coach title on me, and I don't know why it triggers me, but it does. And, and so in the last few weeks, I have literally on my board all around me, it's, what am I saying? I have it written out everywhere to remind me. So I've really come into a good space on it, but I struggled because I have building the plane while I'm flying. I've only been all in on this coaching business for a little June will be 2 years from when I started, right? But when I started getting groundwork was, maybe 18 months ago. So I've changed my direction a few times because clarifying, and what are my strengths? Where can I really help people? So at every one of those moments, I've had to make sure you can take the space and really get clear on what I am known for and what I want to be known for. So I love that. So good.
Do you want to do some of it right now?
Sure.
Oh, this is awesome. Okay, think about, and this is like the 1.0 version, right? But sometimes like I help people with this and we find their thing immediately.
Okay.
And like within 30 days, they're like, I can't believe I've been talking about what I do for 30 years like this. Like you helped me in 1 week. And I'm like, you are the content. Like all I did was ask you some questions to uncover something that was in there. Like, I don't think I'm like the greatest or some kind of magician, right? I just really try to listen. So think about a client that you've helped. Okay. You don't have to share any names in your coaching business, client that you've helped, and what were they struggling with when they came to you?
Organization. Just
organization in personal business, all of it.
All of it. Organizations, being able to set priorities, understanding how they're spending their time and why they feel like they don't have enough time in the day. That they were really, really struggling with that.
Were they parent? They have kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
Divorced.
Okay. And then what did that create for them?
It created freedom. They had themselves in a narrative that there was no time. I had no time to grow. I had no time to implement this project. I had no time to do this. I had no time to do, and so when we went through the process, they discovered a lot of time and they grew 50% in revenue in less than 6 months by being able to get out of that narrative and find the time.
Okay. So if you wanted to be really bold in your message, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, what I'm known for is I help entrepreneurs buy back their time or gain freedom and grow their profits. Freedom and grow their profits.
Gain freedom and grow their profits. I love it.
Right.
I'm writing it down.
Like you just like that just came out of this little story. I know nothing about this person, right? But yeah, what I'm known for is helping people gain freedom and grow their profits. And so right there, gain freedom, grow profits. That, let's say in a perfect world, right, that could be your thing. But that could also be seen as a tagline. Unless you do the work and get committed to actually like living that.
Yes, embodying, right? We have to embody. We can't just, if you will be a cliche if it's just a tagline and you don't show up in every opportunity to clarify that tagline, to give an example of that tagline, to, set the standard of that tagline. Embodiment, alignment.
Yes. So look, right with this whole thing, right? Like if somebody asks you, what do you do? Right? There's so many different ways you can go about it. But one idea is, I'm a business coach, but what I'm really known for is helping people gain freedom and grow their profits.
Yeah. I love it. So what do you do in this scenario? Because I'm not just a business coach. I am a soulful prosperity coach, right? So I help people and businesses level up, tap into the best version of themselves, build careers and lives that nourish your soul. So it could be a business. It could be like I have people that are very successful, and they may want to grow more in business, but they're not really that inspired and they're kind of stuck, but they're not really happy, right?
Mhm.
So do you think that it's okay to have different taglines for different aspects of your, right? Because now with coaching, it's like I'm the business and then these are my products. So different taglines for different products that you're offering.
So I wouldn't say I'm aligned with that so much.
Okay.
I think if you can help, let's say you help CEOs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Find like their soulful prosperity, or you help entrepreneurs, or you help moms, right? Like I think you could change the demographic, the person you're speaking to, but I think the thing in this case, right? And this is just off the
Mm-hmm.
cuff, like gain freedom and grow profits. And that might not be for the soulful prosperity work, or it might, right? But I think the thing has to stay the same.
Right.
And look, it can evolve, right? It will
Right.
evolve. Like we
Right.
call this stuff a mountain with no top. Like we're the possibility company. It's possibility mountain. It never ends. You just
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
climbing,
Yeah.
and as you go up, the view gets better.
Right.
And so, look, like, oh, go ahead. Question.
Where? Me?
Oh, I thought you had one.
No, no, I'm just always thinking. Go ahead. No. Well, I guess maybe I do. Like, so then you could basically, so we started there. And obviously, if I'm working with you, we're going to have like a long session. But so gain freedom and grow profits. And then you're like, okay, I like that. But I really want to add, some of that soulful prosperity aspect to that. That's really because even though like I answered it right, because we're doing this very quickly, that was one of the results, but the other results were, they're now, I don't, he's now in a very healthy, loving relationship. Things have gotten better with his children. And so it's a lot of different things, and it is soulful prosperity. So I would just sort of then take that and tweak it to add that in a little bit, right?
Yeah. Hold on one second. I'm taking some notes. So, in the work that we do, right, it's all about language. Language creates, like I said. And so there's several really powerful statements that we work on, we help you uncover. The first one is this identity statement, right?
Yep.
What are you known for? Such a simple question, but that
Yep.
question sometimes has people for 4 or 5 months going, I haven't found it yet. Or they find it right away, like I said. The next question is the true outcome of your work. What's the true outcome of your work? And then let's just tell people that. And
Yeah.
so on the surface, if I were to ask you, what's the true outcome of your work? What comes up for you?
Well, if we go back to what you did, I would literally just add, I help business owners and entrepreneurs gain freedom, joy, and grow their profits. That's it. Then it embodies my true mission and what I am really known for. So that really is,
I love
helping
that.
people develop and build lives by design, not default, that nourish your soul. And I truly believe it is our duty to be profitable, because we can't help people if we're worried about paying bills. How are we going to pay them? No, you can't help people in that state of mind. And that goes for any industry, whether you're helping people, put lighting in their home. When you can show up and, you're in integrity and in alignment in all the other areas in your life, you're going to really help them enjoy the process of putting new lighting in their home.
I love it. So look, the true outcome of your work, right? You just answered that in several different ways. But let's say now you were to take two of these really powerful statements and put them together in a little bit of a cadence, right? What I'm known for is helping entrepreneurs gain freedom, joy, and grow their profits. And
Yeah.
as a result of working with us, or as a result of working with me, my clients tell us that they're building their future by design, and they just have a sense of freedom that they never thought was possible.
I love it.
Different, right? It's like someone might say that and be like, look, and you have to be ready when you are this bold and you stand out and differentiate yourself like that. Talk to people like they've really never been talked to before. you have to be ready that some people might be like, not for me, see you later. Like, okay, cool. Like, they don't want to continue the conversation, and that's fine. Those aren't your people. And I think it's important as leaders to accept that. Like, I'm not here to make a difference for anyone and everyone. Like, there's going to be certain people who get aligned with my message, and I'm usually able to tell within about 10 minutes of having a conversation with them.
Yeah. I don't know anybody that shouldn't be aligned with this message. This is really, really powerful stuff because it's and by the way, anybody on StreamYard, if you want to come on and go through this exercise, just I don't know what you have to do, but there's a button or something that you can be asked to be added to the stage. But like my daughter Julia, I'm probably going to set her up with you on a session because that she owns a curated thrift boutique, and she has several services, but it really all boils down to her mission of educating and making sustainable fashion obtainable, right? So it's thick, there's a lot.
Pretty
So
cool, yeah.
So being able, so many people, I don't know who wouldn't be aligned would benefit from this because there's so much, right? So you go onto Instagram, you learn to like follow your competitors, or I don't even like that word, but that's the word, right? Follow the other people in your industry who are doing things at a level that you aspire to, and you're watching what they're doing, and then they start doing this, and you're like, oh, I should do that. I need to do that. And all of that is fine. But if you're not clear on what your mission is and all that, you're going to be going like just crazy. So I think it's so important.
Okay. So, and Jen, your comments and questions, I was just like literally segue to like the next thing I kind of have.
And we didn't even sync. See, we're just in sync.
So you said something about your daughter, Julia?
Yes.
She spelled it with a J or a G-I-U?
J.
J.
She's named after my great grandmother, Julia Francis. So she's Julia
awesome.
Francis. Yeah.
So you said something, I forgot exactly what it was, but there's so much that she does. And there's probably so many cool things that, hey, Julia, there's so many cool things that she could say about the work that she does. And so while she's trying to amplify it and grow it, it's so easy to just jump around and just start saying a bunch of stuff. And so I think what would really serve her is to just get really clear on what's her thing, like what's the overarching identity. And then if she has a team of people, getting them just enamored with this overarching identity and understanding how they personally connect to it. So I'll share a little story. If you were to hang out with me and my team at the Possibility Co., it is sickening how often you will hear the word possibility. I got my possibility shirt on right here. It's almost like for some people it can be like, it's just people are nuts. And we talk about going to Possibility Church, right? But we have a training that we did that Chris did, and he was just on fire. And we're like, dude, you just took people to Possibility Church. So we ended up calling it Possibility Church. But this isn't like a thing for us. Like if you hung out with us, you would hear the word possibility. You would hear the phrase limitation is created, possibility exists over and over again. That's our overarching thing that we believe. Right. That limitation is created and possibility exists. And so I'll share with you recently how I did something really bold. Even when I did it, I was kind of like, whoa, you put yourself out there on that one. But I served this guy and he became a client, and I helped him see more that was possible for himself in doing this.
I love it.
So we're, in sales, right? We get price objections, and it's annoying. You don't play that game. It's like, maybe I just didn't show you my value enough. Like, why are they worried about price? And so I said to this guy, he wanted to come and work with us, had a great conversation with him. And on the follow-up call, he was like kind of living in a little bit of scarcity, which was not who he was being on the first call. And it was all a price thing. It was just like, I can't do it right now.
Yeah.
And so I said to him, look, I said something along the lines of like, I have no place to get when I get on these calls until I do. And what I
Right.
mean is when I feel like you're the right fit for us and
Yeah.
I know we can make a difference for you, I said
Hmm.
to him, I'm going to fight like hell for what's possible for you because left to your own devices, you're going to fight for your limitations more than what's possible.
Wow.
And that came out of me. And I was like, it wasn't on my sales script. I don't even have a
Right.
sales script, you know? And that came out of me. And I was like, whoa, all right, let me just shut up and let that one sink in, you know? And it hit home for him. And he started to open up to me about some things that had happened in his life and how he's been living in limitation ever since. And he has these glimpses of where he wants to go. And so I was the trigger that shifted that conversation and brought that out of him. And now he
Yes.
became a client. And he's one of those that on the first call, we found like what you're known for, where he had one of the moments where he's like, I cannot believe 20 years in business, I've been talking about myself and what I do in such a non-powerful way.
Yes. I love that. But you know what, Sal? The reason why you had that download, I already laugh because I'm not going to tell the story. Anyway, every time I say download, I have to chuckle, and I have a private joke that I'm not going to tell on this show, but I'll tell you later. Anyway, you had this download, and that's really what it is, right? These moments of like pure genius, connection, and clarity, whether it's, with yourself on focusing on your business and new ideas and all this, or with the client, even better, right? Because that's what we're here to do, is because you are aligned and you are clear. When you go into that call, you are clear with what you're trying to do with this client. You are clear with what you can do. And then when you have that clarity, the confidence, the trust, and the faith, which right comes from you and your actions, you took all the actions, you prepared yourself, you're always building your skills, you're blah blah blah. That's when those moments just come through. And I love that. Very powerful. And yeah, it is putting yourself out there, but it's not just like, oh, I just made this up and it's great. That came from all the work that you have done.
Agreed. Yeah.
All
And
experiences, all the go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
no, it's just well said. And like going back to Julia, right? It's like when you're in a moment like that, if you have, or going back to Julia and what you said before about, is it okay to have some different statements? I'm like, it might be depending on your industry, but if you're chasing what to say,
Yeah.
you never really stand for one thing.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And I just feel like when you can boldly take a stand for like one message, and everywhere you go all the time with everyone, you're saying like one thing, that's how you actually become known for it. That's how you
Yeah.
actually become preeminent.
Yeah.
And I think you become kind of magnetic.
Yeah.
People become attracted to it, you know?
And then so like in a circumstance like with Julia's store or with my services, you just have to make sure that everything you're doing is aligned and comes back to that one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting you say that. Because I don't, so some of the work that we do, one piece of it is we go into your personal story. And it's kind of weird because I don't have like a background. I'm not educated on like how to tell your personal story, but I started helping people with this. And my only mission was tell the parts of your story that are actually going to matter to the other person.
Right.
Right. Like we don't need to talk about all of our certifications or we went to this school and then transferred to this school. And no,
Right.
tell the parts that are actually going to like that somebody else can connect to. So I focused on that. And then how do we anchor back your identity statement to your story? Because if we look, there's often a realization that you've had from when you were a child to the middle part of your career to where you are now that anchors back to that one thing, that identity statement. And so
Yeah.
when we can connect, connect the dots there, it becomes really, really powerful to have like a 1 minute story that you can tell as well. There was a reason I talked about personal story and I lost it, but it'll come back to me.
It'll come back.
So, yeah, I get fired up about this stuff and like, I don't get it right all the time still. There's times I'll have an interaction with someone and like their energy or the questions they ask me and I get done talking with them and I'm like, what the hell is that, Sal? Like,
Like, no,
you know better. Like, you know so much better, because there's been other times where I've been at a conference, somebody asked me, what do I do? Or like, you know, what brought you here? And I respond with something where they're like, that's freaking amazing. Like, tell me more. And it opens up, you know, a conversation. And I don't get it right all the time, because being a leader, being bold like this is not the easiest.
no. I've actually, the last few weeks, I was struggling on, with content and creating stuff and, like reading scripts and all that. And so I changed how I do things. I do my homework, I do my studying and, get it written out and then into bullet points and then even let go of the bullet points. And I just go into doing a little meditation, a little breath work, and really connect to my divine purpose, right? My highest purpose, the highest version of myself, and let the rest go. But I was not doing that. It was like I was doing all the preparation, all that, but I wasn't giving myself the time and the space that I needed to have that. It gives you that clarity. It gives you that focus. It gives you that being present. And when you are present, you can answer much better than when you were, distracted. So to me, I find like, doing the preparation and then, just 3 deep breaths and like coming into this present moment, knowing you're about to, be in a position where people may be asking you these questions. If you don't give yourself that time and space, you're going to struggle more, a lot more. I was going on stage and I'm so busy thinking about what I'm going to say that I forgot to trust myself that I know. I already know it. And if it comes in a different order or, whatever happens is what is meant to be, and opening yourself up to that because you're prepared, because you're aligned, you can do that. But you still have to give yourself the space. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, look, something you talked about in there is freedom, right? Like, you haven't given yourself permission to be free getting on stage and trusting that this stuff is just, it's gonna come through you,
Yes.
right? And so, look, what did we say before? Where's my notes here? Hold on a second. What I'm known for is helping entrepreneurs gain freedom, joy, and right, grow their profits. The more you can be a demonstration of that freedom, there's an
Yes.
energy behind when you say it. Now it
Yeah.
means something, right?
Yeah.
When people can experience you as like, there's something about Jen. She was different. I like Jen, right? You show up free, you're going to get more of that. It actually frees them up a little bit. And so think about a conversation with like a prospective client. If you can show up really free, Jen, and have none of that noise, right? And then they show up free. Well, what's possible when 2 free people show up to a conversation instead of you showing up with, oh my God, I got to bring my granddaughter over here and I got this thing going on
Mhm.
and I really want to create this and my team's not doing this. And that person showing up going, I like her, but is she going to try to sell me something today? Is she going to ask for my credit card?
Yeah.
Right? That's just noise that gets in the way. So the more
Exactly.
you can be a demonstration of that, I think the more people are going to receive it.
Absolutely. And I can feel the shift. I can feel the difference. And that's where I was very successful in coaching and leading in the real estate industry, because I just got up there and it just always came out and I connected and I created a world where, brokers would call me up and they'd be like, what are you doing over there? I've tried to recruit your people, offer them money, offer them all kinds of things. They are not leaving. They're not budging. And it's because I was operating in that space, and it's such an attractive space. And I wasn't even, I've grown so much in the last few years that, man, like as I am now getting into that zone in this new role, like, forget it. It's just powerful and unstoppable, and creating, your tribe, right? Your people, because you're free and you're showing up and expressing as you exactly who you are, and people are gonna, like you said, magnetic.
Yeah, well, Coach Michael Burt, Craig had an event with Michael Burt a few
I
months
love
back, and
Michael
I went to that, and he says, I think this is his thing. Confidence is the memory of success. And so for you, like I would just draw from that. Like you've had so much success
Yes.
in real estate. Now you're
Yeah.
doing something new. And it sounds
Right.
like sometimes you may, psych yourself out or get in your own head, which I do the same thing. I built another business and now I'm in this industry.
Yeah.
And there's times where I'm not operating at this frequency. There's an energy here, right? There's a frequency. It's a little higher. And there's a lot of times I'm not there. And so when he said that confidence is a memory of success, I'm like, you know
It's
what?
so true.
Look back at what I've done in this industry and the strides that I've made. And I'm like, no, like that helps me find the confidence. In other words.
Agreed. Listen, when I would have like 18-year-old newly licensed agents, I would help them create that list of the success, right? So it's not houses sold, but it's all of these things. And this is how that translates to the people you're going to help. And absolutely. And it's funny because I never struggle one-on-one. It's more public speaking. And and I guess it's a lot of people, but I've done a lot of work, and the work is not practicing. It's letting go. It's trusting.
Yeah,
It's allowing myself to show up. It's allowing me to be who I am, exactly who I am, and not worried about what I'm going to say because I know what to say. I mean, God, sometimes you just can't even shut me up. How could I be worried about what I'm going to say? And Toastmasters helps. I love Toastmasters.
Yeah, I actually feel like I should do some of that training. I haven't, and I've built with some clients who have and whatnot, and then they come to me and I'm helping them in a different way. And I'm like, it would be useful for me to go through some of that. But
Toastmasters, I have a remote group. I'll send you information if you ever want to just pop in and check it out.
Yeah, because communication is everything, right? Like if we can become a powerful communicator, we'll get further in every area of our life that we want to.
Mm-hmm. And you know what else? Be coachable, right? Yeah. Am I coachable, Sal?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, like when I started doing this work, this coaching, my first thought when my partner, mentor, Chris asked me, did you want to start coaching? I'm like, I can't coach. What are you talking about? No way. And he's an incredible leader. And he's like, dude, this system, this process, like you built your business using these frameworks, you can absolutely coach. And my first group of clients are super successful financial advisors, not people who are, trying to make it. These are people who, don't really need to work anymore. They're working because they're trying to achieve this next level of like significance and impact. It's not about money anymore. It's about making a difference,
Yes.
And I'm 37 years old and my clients are, 65-year-old advisors who've been in the industry for 30 years. And again, I'm like, how the hell am I going to help these guys? Like, how am I qualified to do this? But I continue to do the work. And I started to see this common theme that those guys are coachable. Those guys are willing to take the input, the information, the advice that 37-year-old Sal's giving them.
Yes.
And they're coachable.
Yes.
And then like, my third cousin who I talk to is like, yeah, Sal, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So I just had to just accept that thing. Right. And I'm like, success leaves clues. Like I started to watch these super successful people and how they show up and how coachable they are. I'm like, okay, there's something.
Yeah. Just because you're a coach, it means even more. You need to be coachable. You need to always have a coach. You need to be in coaching and you need to be growing. All right. So there are already questions. So I want you to get out all the things that you want to get out because we have about 20 minutes and then we'll go to some questions. What else you got for us?
Yeah.
No questions yet. Go ahead.
I'm excited to get to the questions. And I guess I'll just share one more thing, like around this idea of uncover your identity to then unlock your message, and language creates, like those two principles. Language creates even in your home, like, but you have to get clear on certain things. And so one thing that my family and I started to do, we went through this awesome process and course that we're in right now called Family Brand. And there's a Family Brand podcast, like listen to that, whether you have a family or not, there's so much good stuff in there. And they talk about, everything I'm talking about in business, right? Your message, your identity, your message, your core values, right? Why don't we have these for our family? Everyone says my family is the most important thing, but we don't really get clear, or we don't design what we want our family to be, what we want our family to be known for. So it's the same thing in business and family, and that's what family brand is all about. So my wife and I are going through this process, and part of it is creating core values for your family. So one of the things that came to me as like one of our things is that remettas, it's our last name, remettas are the rising tide, right? Like the rising tide lifts all ships, they say, right? And so I started saying this, said it to my wife. She's like, yeah, I like that. And we're just creating our things, you know, and we've slacked on it. That's our one. But I'm like, I think it's a really good one. Remettas are the rising tide. So I talked to my son about it, my 8-year-old. I have 8 and 4. My 4-year-old's he's not jiving with that yet, obviously. But my 8-year-old, I've been saying it, right? So back to this idea of language creates. We're in the driveway playing basketball the other day. And he's, you know, starting to dribble better, and he goes through the legs, and then my wife tries to go through the legs, and she like lifts her leg and does some weird thing, and he's like leaning into her a little bit, right? Like just ripping on his mom. And I just look at him and I said, dude, rising tide, remettas are the rising tide. And he's like,
yes.
Like he had a moment where he just understood, like, and so language creates, like if you create an identity-driven message and then you talk about it amongst your team, amongst your family, it's freaking powerful. And trust me, look, there's times where my son's like, yeah, dad, rising tide, you know, but it's getting through to him.
We've kind of started one, not on an official as like structured as you have, but mine is anything but love is a lie. So as soon as we start getting into those spaces like family can, and my granddaughter, 4 years old, I'll say, you know, ask her and she'll say it. Anything love is a lie.
I love that.
No negativity. And she can't say awesome. Negativity. I can't even say it how she says it, but it's so cute. And it does like bring us all right back, right, to the present moment. What we're supposed to be doing here is bonding, loving, and appreciating each other and supporting each other. And yeah, I love that. And that comes back to that integration too, you know, business and family and your like business life and personal life are not separate. And so the more you can get your business identity to match who you want to be, who you want to show up as in this world, and getting to be able to answer that question of who am I and what is my purpose and how do I bring this into my business world and business life. And let's say you're on here and you're not a business owner or an entrepreneur, maybe you aspire to be, or maybe you just want to be the best employee you can possibly be. And you can say, well, you know, doing blank isn't my purpose, right? But how can the work that you are doing fuel your purpose, right? That's how you got to look at it. I love that. You're doing
that. Might be able to serve them with one more thing. Like one of the things we have is, I said, there's going to be these powerful messaging statements. One of them is your brand identity statement, which is, this is what we do, but this is who I am.
Yes.
Right. And so for me, it's like, yeah, like business coaching and identity and messaging, that's what I do. But awakening the leaders I work with to what's actually possible in their business and in life, that's who I am.
I love how much clarity you have around all this. So good.
And so, yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'll leave it there. And I'd love to, get to some of the questions or wherever you'd like to go.
Right, we're going to go to my daughter first, you know, because she's my daughter. Why to go? Okay. Julia, I guess she's saying, how do I gain confidence in delivering my message?
Yeah. So
she's 20.
It's like
she's 20.
She's going to be a badass.
She already is. Yep.
It's like, look, in order to be able to lift more weight, you have to start lifting weights, right? If you want to eventually squat 300 pounds, like you got to start squatting with the bar. You got to get the reps in. And so doing the work on getting clear on your message. And then look, it's a little uncomfortable at first going out there and being this bold in your message and being different. Look, full transparency, the first time I went through this process as a client, I had a beautifully scripted message. I was so proud of it. Then Jen, I would get on a sales call with someone And I would like go into my shell and just be like, I built the business doing my thing. Let me just go back to what Sal would say, what Sal would do, because I would chicken out.
Yeah.
And then I knew I had this message that was so good and so different. So what I did was I just started to run the script. I tell my clients, in order to not sound scripted, run the damn script.
Yes.
Practice it
and then
in the mirror.
Yes.
I'd record myself on video. Like, I got to do this more, but like looking at the camera and like, working on my body. And then, now I'm very fortunate. Like, I get to coach others on this. So I'm getting the reps in all the time. Like, I'm repeating their message to them. So it's a lot of reps, right? But once you find a message that's true, like really feels good, and you start getting the reps in and get through that discomfort, you will show up differently than anyone else.
Absolutely. And she's done a lot of this work on the clarity, and she's about to launch a few things related around it. And she's done that work. So now, Jules, you just got to get in that repetition, practice with your friends, practice with your family, and believe it. Yes. And also, Julia, the fact that you're 20 is such a plus, because when you are now going to be able to boldly and confidently say, your business identity and who you are, like, it's just going to blow people away. Because guess what, girl? I'm 53. And even though, listen, I mean, I know I had it down, but it took me 2 years really to get to this place in my new business. And I'm 53 years old. So, if a 20-year-old comes up to me, I'm not thinking, oh, well, she's 20 and this and that. When she does that, I'm like, wow. And everybody's going to be like, wow.
Yeah.
It's a huge plus. You got this.
Shout out my wife real quick. She's probably listening. She commented, believe it, which is awesome.
Yes,
she's probably hearing everything I said and going, I wish he would be a little bit more of this at home. Oh, this is great. Okay.
It's such the accountability, though. I have my daughters, because like one works for a huge not-for-profit. She has a really important job, but she really wants to like have her own yoga company. And then Julia has the boutique. So it's like, you got to come on in Power Hour. But the level of accountability, because they are here and watching, is huge, because now you really can't just come on here and say, we're doing this. And if you are, and you're exaggerating a little, throwing your hat over the fence, that's okay, because now you got to go get that hat. Right, so it works out really, really good. All right, so where's the other questions? Oh, there we go. What if someone in my field has similar ideas as me? This is what I was thinking of earlier. This is huge.
Yeah, they're not you. Like, they're not you. Their delivery is not going to be the same, and I don't know if I'm saying it right, Annika, it's a beautiful name. A lot of people will have similar ideas and put them on a website or something like that. You go on their website and you see their thing, then you meet them, and that's not the language that they're speaking.
Right.
That's not who they're really being. Right. And so they're not you. Like, so your message can be a little bit different by a few words. Like, for example, like, I work with a ton of financial advisors. The real estate space is a space I think really needs this, because everyone does the same thing. You list and sell houses, right? What you do does not make you different. Who you are is what makes you different. How you do it is what makes you different. Yeah. And so I think just really being bold, finding a message that's authentic to you. If someone else's message is similar, it's not going to be delivered the same. They're just not you. So I wouldn't let that create limitations around sharing a bold message.
Right. And the ideas aren't what differentiate you so much. I mean, they can and they will, and it's great. And you're going to get deeper and deeper into that as you get into mastery. And by the way, mastery is a really great way to differentiate yourself, like true mastery over, one thing. But the ideas aren't as much as what's going to differentiate yourself, but how you input, because there's only so many ideas. I mean, I don't want to limit that, right? Obviously there's infinity, but like, let's say you own a plumbing company. There's only so many different ideas you can come up with in plumbing, right? So that doesn't limit you though, because it's not about the ideas, like Sal said. It's about who you are and how you show up and how you make the world better for the people that you are working with. That's what really matters to them. Not so much what plumber they choose, but how you make them feel and how this experience. I mean, and that's a fact, that people there are, even in those kind of trade industries, you can make a huge difference. You're coming into people's houses. You have such an opportunity to make a difference. And then you have raving lunatic fans, not customers, who are going to run around and tell the whole world, you have to work with this company because of blank. And if you choose any other plumber, you're missing out.
Well, let's stay there for a second, because think about contractors, plumbers, right? Tradesmen. I grew up in that industry, not plumbing, landscaping, roofing and siding. What are contractors known for? What comes up for you when I say that? No, go ahead.
Charging too much, not showing up.
Charging too much, showing up late, right? Yeah. Like messy, like it's not good.
Taking a lot longer than they said they would.
What an easy industry to make yourself stand out in.
Yeah, return
a call.
What
if as a plumber, I said, what we're known for is always being on time, never being late, and providing a level of service that our clients never thought was possible. And just really own that, and then become that, right? Don't be late. It's not it's easy to not be late. Don't be late. Provide a level of service beyond what they thought was possible, which is pretty easy to do because people don't have high expectations in that industry anyway, right? You will have cult-like raving fans who are going to promote your work. So create your identity and your message, and then be it as much as you possibly can.
Yes. And then, by the way, if you're in plumbing and plumbing doesn't light your soul on fire, you still get that opportunity to do things that do light your soul on fire, that do bring you that soulful prosperity. See, because I'm very cognizant of this, because right now I get to be doing what really lights me on fire. But guess what? That didn't happen for me in real estate for 28 years. I got to a point in each part of my career where I was like, listen, pick a freaking house. Like, what's the problem? Right. And I went, like, it didn't light me on fire. Okay. I'm not going to lie. And so I always evolved in my career to places where, I could do that. Got into leadership, got into ownership, whatever, and coaching and training, and was able to do that. But you're not always. So I always was able to find within whatever, I was a single mom. Like, I couldn't just not go show raised ranches, even though I really in my head was like, but I was able to just turn that into things that would, set my soul on fire. Right. And really, really tapping into being able to help the family, right? Make the process smoother and easier for them. And then the love and the gratitude that would come my way. And I was honest with them too. Like, this is where I'm at. I'm not going to have the patience with you. So you need to know that if you're going to work with me, I'm not going to be the one that's going to take you out and show you 75 houses. You're going to have to do a lot of the legwork. But this is what I'm going to be able to do for you. I'm going to cut through the BS. I'm going to take your emotion out of the places where it doesn't belong, and blah, blah, blah. So, I want to put that in there for anybody, because I think that as coaches, we can talk a lot about that, but quite frankly, some people are in positions where they need to earn a living that isn't setting their soul on fire. But I feel like what you're talking about is the bridge. It's the connection, because if you can differentiate yourself, the blessings, the joy, the freedom, the creativity, the connection that you're going to create will replace all of that.
Yeah, well said. Those are some great takeaways from all this, Jen. And one thing that I think, to maybe close this out, if we don't have any other questions.
I think we have one more. Where is it? Oh yeah, there you go. Anonymous Someone's very scared. I hear you. I feel you. I feel you.
The fear of standing out, of putting yourself out there. Well, think about this. This actually ties right into what I was going to say. My partner Chris has done this from stage several times, but he creates this analogy, this picture of, okay, let me just do it. Jen, I want you to imagine that you were going in for open heart surgery, right? And you have a heart surgeon that comes in, says, Jen, you look a little scared. I'm a little scared too. I've done this 5 times so far. Everyone's been okay. What do you say we go do this?
No.
They're like, get me the hell out of here.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And on the other side, you have a heart surgeon that comes in and says, Jen, I know you're scared. It's normal to feel that way. I want you to know you are in the best possible hands you can be here with me and my team. My promise to you is that you're going to be in that waiting room with your family in about 3 hours. You're going to feel better leaving this hospital than you did when coming in. Okay? I got you. Let's go do this.
Mm.
Who do you want for yourself? Who would you want for your kids, for your family?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
bold heart surgeon?
No,
or the first?
exactly. And wow. And I keep going back to real estate today, but it's, this was something too, like, with the way like the market has been, it's just a really good example for the fear of standing out. Because you see it so much like, well, I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to seem pushy. I don't want to, okay, you're going to hire a real estate agent, right? Maybe not, you don't think as important as a heart surgeon, but all of our careers and jobs are important and impact lives. They wouldn't exist if they didn't. Who are you going to choose? The one who's calling you, reaching back out, sending you information, constantly in touch with you, or the one who is very passive? Who do you want right now in this kind of market? Who would you hire? And why then, the answer. Why are you afraid to show up as that version that is what they need? So stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about, just like you just put it so beautifully, Sal, like, what kind of heart surgeon do you need? That's the kind of heart surgeon that you need. And so whatever industry you're in, you need to just, for your clients, right? It's easier maybe in some ways to get over that fear when you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for them. You're doing it for them. And that's in turn, get yourself, you kind of have to get over yourself when it comes to fear in some ways.
No, Jen, we could go for 3 hours on that alone, not making it about you. I'll share this with you. I was going to do my first like live speaking engagement, and I was so nervous. I mean, like, no joke, like chest pains, like physical, like. And I went to actually go see Craig. It's really funny. He was doing this event, this real estate thing, and talking about the book. And he did Q&A after. I wasn't working with him yet, and I said to him, hey, I'm going to do my first live speaking thing. Pretty pumped up, but pretty nervous. It's like, you got any tips? And he goes, don't make it about you. It's not about you. And I'm like, duh, I teach this principle. And still, I was making it about me. And that thought, hearing it from him that night, and then realizing that I teach this all the time, that thought is what got me through this speaking engagement. And like, I smashed it. Like, I knocked it out of the park. It was awesome.
I love that. Yeah.
And yeah, so
shout out to Craig Siegel. Craig, you introduced Sal and I, and we love you, and you're amazing. And you are so correct, because that's the same thing with the fear of speaking and all of that, because you're thinking about, how am I going to look? What if I do this? What if I do that? But remove it and show up to serve, basically. And even if that's a plumbing appointment with a new client, show up to serve. How can I make this person's life better, these people's life better when I am done? I love it. So good. All right. So I guess this is the best way for people to get in touch with you. Is this correct?
Yeah, Instagram's perfect. My name's Sal Rometta.
Leader amongst leaders at the Possibility Co. Here's his Instagram handle. Anything else? If anybody want, and who should be working with you?
Anyone who feels like they're chasing what to say to grow their business, and anyone who just doesn't feel really strong or clear in their identity and their message. And you have to be committed as well. You got to be committed to the work. Coachable.
Definitely have to be coachable. Well, Sal, I am so grateful for you showing up here. I know you have young kids and the mornings can be a little challenging. So I'm very grateful to your wife as well for taking it all on this morning so you could be here with us. We are going to be doing lots of other things. Before we tune out, I just want to remind everybody I've got my wait list going for Beyond Limits. And this is an all-inclusive program that is going to help you go from A to Z. I don't want to take a ton of time, but go ahead and register and get on that wait list. And if you are just watching this morning from social media anywhere, if you register, and this is going to be changed, it's going to be one registration. If you register for the mindset reset, and this is the wrong thing here, Alpha, you're going to get the free Soulful Prosperity kit. This is the toolkit. See what's happening? I'm thinking and it's going out of my head. But you get the free Soulful Prosperity toolkit, which is literally all the tools, the actions, the strategies that helped me to completely transform, get into a place of freedom, get into a place of soulful prosperity, and be 100% aligned, 100% responsible for my emotions, my outcomes, and to love life. So I'm grateful for you, Sal, and we will see you soon.
Same. Thank you for having me. This was awesome. See you soon.